The biggest story today was that the verdict came down in the civil case involving Conor McGregor, and he was in fact found civilly liable. So he would not be considered convicted because this was a civil case. He was not convicted of a crime, but the jury did rule in favor of the plaintiff, Nikita Hand, and McGregor is now required to pay about 248,000 euros, which is about $258,000 US. And for the purposes of this discussion, we are going to be talking about descriptions of sexual assault. So I do want to state that at the beginning of this description. But so the decision came down today, and just to recap things, this had gone on for about 2 weeks in the High Court in Dublin, Ireland, going back to an incident that was alleged in December of 2018, where Nikita Hand, the plaintiff, had accused McGregor of raping her. She had stated that she had left a party along with a friend of hers to go to another party with McGregor and one of his friends, and they were under the impression they were going to another party, but ended up at this friend's estate. And this is where the incident allegedly took place. She stated she was pinned down by McGregor and was terrified, in fear of her life. And she did acknowledge she was under the influence of both alcohol and cocaine. And this led to, first she went to the Gardaí in Ireland, and the authorities opted not to pursue a criminal case, feeling like there was not going to be a sufficient enough case to move forward with. So the civil route was where Nikita Hand ended up going, and this has been a several years long issue. McGregor had denied that this was anything but consensual sex, but some of the testimony throughout these 2 weeks, this included a gynecologist that had examined Hand the day after the incident had taken place and confirmed like the bruising that he had seen on her. And as well, you had the Dublin Fire Brigade's two members who testified that they observed visible marks in and around her throat. She had claimed that McGregor had grabbed her by the throat. They said the markings were consistent with that. And one of them, and this is very graphic, stated that they had to use forceps to remove a tampon that apparently she had while the sexual encounter took place. And McGregor, when he testified, admitted to having consensual sex with her, but denied what he was being accused of, stated that Hand was enthusiastic during their time together, and denied that he was the source of the bruising. And McGregor's lawyer also tried to discredit Hand for not immediately telling her boyfriend about this incident and lying to him. They also had surveillance footage from the hotel and elevator trying to convey to the jury that she appeared an enthusiastic participant, and called it a web of lies that Nikita Hand was spinning. And then the decision came down in a civil case. It's worth noting the distinction. We've mentioned this several times. If this were to be a criminal case, that McGregor was facing criminal charges, you would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. In a civil case, the threshold to find someone liable is less. It's taking the preponderance of evidence and being able to make a educated conclusion that this happened. But it's not the same level of threshold that needs to be met in a criminal case. So the case came down, the jury made their decision, finding McGregor liable and to pay those damages. They also concluded that this other friend of Conor McGregor's, he did not have, they found that James Lawrence, they believe, did not have sexual encounter with Nikita Hand as he had alleged, and she had no recollection of. And there were theories on that as well. McGregor has come out with a statement. He said, "I will be appealing today's decision. The judge's instruction and the modest award given was for assault, not for aggravated or exemplary damages. I am disappointed that the jury did not hear all the evidence that the DPP reviewed. I am with my family now, focused on my future. Thank you to all my support worldwide." And there is more to this story because of some of the one of the restrictions on this case is that certain evidence could not be introduced during the case for the belief that it would not be germane to the case and it could sway the jury. But RTE out of Ireland is now able to report, now that the case was over, that the woman, Nikita Hand, and her partner, their home was invaded a number of months ago by a group of men wearing balaclavas who stabbed her partner, breaking her windows. And while Nikita Hand and her partner, they are not accusing Conor McGregor of being behind this, but their argument was that this was, a result of the harassment they have received from people that are supporters of Conor McGregor. And the judge felt that this incident should not be introduced because it's not relevant enough to the case. So they could not introduce this. There's a lot here. At the conclusion here, Wei, this is not Conor McGregor being sent to prison. This is not Conor McGregor being guilty of criminal charges, but I would say this is as damning of a stain on Conor McGregor's reputation in his life. And that says a lot because he has been accused of quite a lot throughout his career. And I mean, it remains to be seen if he actually goes forward with an appeal here and what this will mean for this man's career. And I state that being that we are, he's kind of clinging to a career at this point anyway, where he has not fought in almost 3.5 years at this point. But this is not a case that outside of Ireland got a ton of attention. But today, when the verdict came down, obviously, I think a lot of people were catching themselves up on the details of this case and probably being horrified from some of what was alleged.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So where do we go from here? Does this affect Conor McGregor's career in any way? His ability to draw when he's going to participate at his next UFC event? Does it damage his international celebrity?
I think it's certainly going to hurt his appeal as somebody that can be like a commercial entity for brands and sponsors. I think this is going to be negative. That said, I cannot say with a straight face that the idea of Conor McGregor fighting within the next year would not be met with plenty of acceptance from the fight community, and that it would be a big show. We just watched Mike Tyson fight, and you can look at Mike Tyson as someone, and I think he's generally viewed by the public as a redemptive figure that did serve his time. But this is somebody that, that label has always been attached to him. I cannot say that this is going to dissuade fight fans from continuing to support Conor McGregor. And if Conor McGregor continues to fight this, there will absolutely be a segment of people that will stand by Conor McGregor if he denies this happened and continue to fight this. So I cannot say that this is going to end his career. And I don't even know if the UFC is going to, the UFC is very much, I think, Dana White had stated as recently as Saturday that Conor would fight late 2025. All these timetables get thrown out there, but, it's not like he's fighting next month, but comes 8 months from now, I could not throw out the notion of him fighting and receiving like a hero's welcome in the arena he opts to fight in.
I don't think this has any effect on his UFC career, his ability to draw outside. Even in Ireland, where I would assume he's perceived as a national hero, I don't think, it's hard for me to say because I'm not there to see what the coverage of this story is, but at least on this side of the world, even if, like you say, John, this might have received a bit of press, I don't think it's the type of press that that'll damage maybe the consumer that wants to pay to watch, what I think they expect are controversial figures. Like you can argue the most successful people in combat sports are controversial figures, have some sort
Mike
of
Tyson, Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Yeah, John Jones, it's just sort of a thing that is almost unexpected as part of the sport. Now, the fact that this was not a criminal conviction, I think just gives your average fan enough, a reasonable doubt, for them to feel still comfortable about participating in buying a Conor McGregor fight, for instance, it's not like the case of, let's say, and I only bring this up because it's the most recent example, but somebody like Diddy, where even those allegations, it took the video evidence for all of us to see and to fully believe what a monster that guy was, because we all got to see it. Same with Vince McMahon. It took the text messages and the details of the Janelle Grant lawsuit in order for all
Ray
of
Rice,
us,
the football player.
for all of us to really believe it. We don't really have that here. And for me, that's almost like you need that amount of evidence in order to really damage somebody's reputation. So I
mean,
think
the defense tried to do the opposite and use this like footage from like inside the hotel. It's like, look, she's getting along fine with them. And I mean, that to me is not like, I don't know. That's almost kind of irrelevant to me. And it's, I just look at this and like, I cannot imagine what, forget like the 6 year or the nearly 6 years that this has been for this woman. I cannot imagine what these last 2 weeks have been like, where the details of this are as lurid as possible. And to have yourself just put on just, you can just scroll through comments online and see this. And there is no, there is nothing worth that level of scrutiny that I'm sure she has gone through.
And the anxiety that her and her family members will continue to feel every day for the rest of their lives as a result of this, it's only started, John. Like Jesus, like if it's already been bad, the outcome being in her favor coming out of this, it's only going to make things worse for her, unfortunately, at least. So I hope she has the protection that she gets and her family does.
I do want to play just a short clip that she gave a statement outside of the courthouse after the decision was rendered. So here's a short snippet from that statement she gave.
Lastly, I want to thank my daughter, Freya, who I'm most grateful for. She has given me so much strength and courage over the last 6 years throughout this nightmare to keep on pushing forward for justice. I want to show Freya and every other girl and boy that you can stand up for yourself if something happens to you, no matter who the person is, and justice will be served. To all the victims of sexual assault, I hope my story is a reminder that no matter how afraid you might be, speak up, you have a voice, and keep on fighting for justice. I know this has impacted not only my life, my daughters, my family and friends tremendously, and it's something that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. But now that justice has been served, I can now try and move on and look forward to the future with my family and friends and daughter.
So again, that was Nikita Hand. And just as we wrap this up, I do want to read this. This is from the RTE article, and this is about the home invasion that she experienced earlier this year. Senior counsel Ray Boland, on behalf of Ms. Hand, had told the judge before the jury was sworn that her legal team wanted to introduce an event that happened on June 14th of this year. He said that Ms. Hand's home was invaded by a group of men wearing balaclavas. They burst into Ms. Hand's bedroom, he told the court, and were driven out by her partner, who suffered stab wounds in the process. Her young daughter was in another room and called the authorities. Mr. Boland said the invaders broke the front windows of the house and left before Gardai arrived. Mr. Boland said that Ms. Hand's lawyers were obviously not laying that at the feet of the defendants or saying that they had anything to do with that, but he said they were making the claim that it was not an untargeted attack and that it arose from supporters of Mr. McGregor. So that's just a snippet of, and she had to move because of this. She had to move to another house because of this.
Probably will have to move again.
It's just, there is a long line of incidents involving Conor McGregor, and the size of the descriptions in the legal issues in his Wikipedia are just it's insane. And that's what is publicly known. And I just think that I don't think this is the end of the road for Conor McGregor, but it will be for some. And I think it's just, I don't know. I look at this as just someone that has so fallen off of the tracks in such a grand degree. And, today was the first time, a jury of his peers rendered a decision, and this will forever be attached to his life. is this ruling.
So, civilly liable, does it open up the possibility of further investigation?
I mean, you can always, not being a legal expert, I can't say if they'll revisit this, but they did make that ruling back in 2019. They felt that they just did not have a case that they could move forward with, like a case that they could be successful with. Some comparison is, with O.J. Simpson, is that so many just remember the verdict in the criminal case where he was acquitted and was found civilly liable after the fact. And like that's like a similar case. He was acquitted on one, but found liable in the civil case after the fact. So anyway, that was the major story today involving Conor McGregor, and we do have many stories up on the site. Jack Wannen has been following this very closely throughout the whole